Hello, I'm Mary Rhodes. We're live in the centre of Birmingham to bring you exclusive access as two of the major city's tunnels are closed for 6 weeks for repairs. The headlines tonight. Good evening. Well, welcome to Midlands Today. I'm at the mouth of the Queensway tunnel, and the reason for this very bright jacket, the hard hat and the glasses, the repair work that's going on inside. Now, usually this would be one of the busiest routes in and out of the city. On a normal day, 85,000 vehicles would thunder through here and nearby St Chad's Tunnel, but they will be closed for the next 6 weeks for vital repairs. Now, commuters have been given plenty of warning. They've been asked to find alternative routes or maybe leave the car at home and use public transport instead. So, have they been listening to the advice? Here's our transport correspondent, Peter Plisner.
Not quite the chaos the doom mongers had predicted this morning, but there were still delays as commuters got used to life without the tunnels. Yes, there were still queues at the usual pinch points, although with many schools closed for the summer, other places seem much quieter than normal.
So it's due to the closure of the city centre Queensway tunnels and lots of queuing traffic around the area.
Traffic broadcasters who'd feared the worst seemed surprised.
It certainly has been a busy one, absolutely. I don't think it's quite as busy as we expected, but it has been extremely busy in the area. But the public have been using the signed diversions, which is obviously a big help.
An anxious time for Birmingham's transport officials watching from the city's traffic control room. After months of planning, today was the first big test and nothing was left to chance.
We've been using our extensive CCTV network to monitor traffic at the key junctions and, where appropriate, add some green time onto the most congested sections of the network to help cars and buses, taxis move more freely.
Below the streets, this was a scene inside the tunnels, a hive of activity with contractors working flat out to get the works done in just 6 weeks. At any one time, there'll be up to 200 men working in these tunnels, and they have to work pretty fast. During the 6-week closure, they've got to fireproof and paint all the walls. They'll be changing the lighting and improving the structure of the tunnels to bring them up to a modern standard. It's the first major works on the two tunnels in their 40-year history, and for those in charge, it's a logistical nightmare.
We've got a main compound at Curzon Street where all the materials are kept and where some of the materials are prepared, and they are then transferred into the tunnel in a convoy, and also we're bussing the operatives in from there as well.
And hopes that commuters might want to be bussed into work too seemed dashed this morning. This was the scene at a special park and ride site in North Birmingham. Hardly any cars and buses sitting idle. There's also been a lack of customers at some city centre businesses. At this petrol station, takings are already dramatically down since the tunnels closed.
We've lost about 75% of our trade, and it's going to carry on for 6 weeks, and from what I understand there's going to be another 6 weeks next year. So how do we cope with this if we're losing that much time with virtually no trade at all?
The work on the tunnels is due to be completed by the 2nd of September, and until then drivers are being advised to plan their journeys carefully and follow any diversions. Peter Plisner, BBC Midlands Today in Birmingham.
Well, joining me now is Eddie Fellows from Amy, who have not only supplied my hard hat, but are also carrying out the works in the tunnels. So, Eddie, it's early days. You only started work on Friday night, but what's your assessment of how it's going so far?
Well, we're pleased that the first day has gone very well. The construction works are all on programme, and despite some local congestion in the local diversions, I think we've managed to keep Birmingham moving. What I would like to say to all the viewers is thank you to those that have left the cars at home, because that has certainly helped, and for all those that have suffered some inconvenience during their journeys, we apologise for that. Bear with us as we carry on with the works.
I don't want to be the voice of doom, but I suppose there is a danger that people watching think, oh, it looks fine, I'll drive in tomorrow. You don't really want that, do you?
We don't, and obviously we have seen quite a lot of congestion, certainly around the area of the tunnels themselves and the local diversions. So it is getting quite congested, and we still appeal to people to use public transport wherever they can.
So what about what's going on in that tunnel behind you there? How's the works going? Early days, as I say.
Yeah, a huge amount of work, and the one thing that's a shame about this is that most of the works is underground, and the motorists and the public can't see the work that's going on. But there's concreting works going on, so there's concrete pours being done and covering all the walls with fire protection, and the other work that's going on will be all the preparation for wiring for the new lighting.
It's a huge project, 6 weeks of repairs. What's the cost?
It's a lot of money.
Give me a number.
It's a lot. I don't have the exact number, but it's part of a major investment of some over £500 million investment in Birmingham's road network as part of the Birmingham Highways Maintenance and Management Service.
And just finally, Ed, are you confident in finishing within those 6 weeks? If you finish before that, will you open it earlier?
We're confident that we'll get the works done on time for opening on the 2nd of September. But as I say, it's a huge amount of work, so we've still got a lot to do before September.
Fellows, thank you very much indeed. I'm sure you're used to the noise of that. Test of that commuter traffic, as Eddie was saying, because the work really only started on Friday night. Now, our reporter Ben Godfrey joined one commuter on his regular journey into Birmingham from Bedworth in Warwickshire.
Rob Knowles has been warned to expect the journey from hell. The 22-year-old media professional is commuting from Bedworth to Edgbaston, and as if the pressure couldn't get any worse.
Good morning, Rob. Let the fun and games begin then.
So off we go on a 25-mile commute, which on a normal day should take Rob an hour.
It'll either be ridiculously busy or it'll be okay. I don't think there'll be a middle ground.
Rob is avoiding the Aston Expressway, so he'll leave the M6 onto the M42.
I've factored in an extra half an hour on my normal journey time.
He hopes for an easy run into the city on the A45. Well, the M6 at the moment heading northbound seems to be pretty fine at 7:45 in the morning. Of course, we're not that close to Birmingham yet, so we'll just have to wait and see what it looks like.
Great Charles Street Queensway heading from Paradise Circus down the hill towards St Chad's is queuing quite badly this morning, no doubt down to the tunnels being closed.
So is the worst to come? To the A45, and there was a reminder that today some have chosen to flee the second city, but not Rob.
There's quite a lot of roadworks been going on here for a while, and I think there's going to be quite a few delays over the next few weeks.
Well, for 35 minutes it's been absolutely clear. We're on the outskirts of Birmingham city centre, and now we've hit traffic. A lengthy wait at Five Ways Island. Notice the dozens leaving the railway station, perhaps convinced a car today was the wrong choice. Our commute has been, well, remarkably smooth. Those sleepless nights weren't worth the bother, were they?
It was fine, yeah. It took me less than an hour. I'm here half an hour early, so that gives me good points at work. So
It won't always be this easy, will it? Ben Godfrey, BBC Midlands Today, Birmingham.
So an early start, but a relatively easy commute for Rob Knowles from Bedworth. So what about the commute back out again, back home? Well, the traffic next to me on the other carriageway has been a little bit lumpy, but let's join Peter Plisner, who's at Birmingham City Council's Traffic Control Centre. Peter, how's it looking? What's the situation like?
Well, Mary, tonight things are fairly quiet on the roads. Here they have cameras looking at many of the key junctions. We've even got a camera looking at you down by the tunnel, looking northbound into the Queensway tunnel by the mailbox. This was very busy this morning. Bit of traffic there at the moment. This is St Chad's near Snow Hill. This junction again was pretty busy this morning, but running fairly freely tonight. Look over here. This is the traffic coming off the Aston Expressway into St Chad's. So again, bit of congestion there. Looking up on the top screen, that's St Chad's Circus. That's the A45 coming into the city. I think basically it seems as though things are running fairly smoothly. A few reasons, I think. Firstly, the school holidays, that's led to probably about 20% less traffic. The traffic lights have been rephased in some areas to allow more traffic to pass on green when things are congested. Also, we've had diversions which many drivers have been heeding and avoiding the area. And I think the evening rush hour is more staggered than the morning rush hour. Lasts usually a couple of hours rather than a concentrated hour. So I think we've benefited from that on the commute home this evening. Are there any particular trouble spots, any pinch points that you can see, Peter? Well, I think generally there's been pinch points all over the city. A lot of the junctions around the sort of middle ring road, the A4520, have been sort of busy this morning. Some of the routes into the city, the Aston Expressway, obviously very busy. The advice is possibly to avoid using Junction 6, Spaghetti Junction, and coming onto the Aston Expressway. But if you're coming into Birmingham, maybe find another motorway junction to use that gets you perhaps direct to your location. If you're going to South Birmingham, don't use city centre route through. Other pinch points, I think there have been city centre, obviously across the tunnels. That's the only route with the tunnels are closed. But generally, I think most places seem to be coping with the traffic today, and I think that's been the story of the day, really. I think there were predictions of heavy traffic, but many people heeding the warnings and perhaps taking those diversions, perhaps not even coming into work and taking holiday instead.
Yes, absolutely. Peter, thanks very much indeed. If you can just see a bus disappearing into the tunnel behind me, it's actually picking up workers that are here in the tunnel. It's not a bus that's lost its way. That's all from me for the moment. I'll be back a little bit later in the programme when we'll be taking a more detailed look at some of the alternatives to driving into the city during the tunnel repairs. And also we'll be taking you back in time to find out why these tunnels were built and what they replaced. That's all from me for now, so now let's join Nick Owen back in the studio for the rest of the day's news.
Thanks, Mary. And first of all, a 25